is up? Welcome to Dipped in Tone. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
I'm Addison.
There he is.
There he is. You know, people always, whenever I go, I'm Addison, I have to separate. I have to say, I'm Addison. If I slur them together, they're like, oh, Madison, good to meet you. I'm like, no. Addison.
I'm Addison.
I'm
My
Addison.
entire life on YouTube, YouTube's auto caption generation thinks my name is Rachel every single time I've said it. Hi, I'm Rhett Shills. Says, hi, I'm Rachel.
That's funny.
In fact, it probably did it right now if you're watching this with captions on. So there you go.
Man.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
how's everybody doing? You guys can
Man.
decide who goes first.
Addison, why don't you go first? We're
Okay.
alphabetical today.
Good. I love it. I'm good. I'm over my cold that I had last episode. Guys, we found a house. We're not homeless, which is
Hey.
great. We move in 2 weeks, so that's a new stress unlock. We've moved many times. We know what it feels like. But other than that, we're doing good. We're excited to move. Life is good. Making a record with some buddies. That's super fun. Yeah, it's going to be a good last half of the year. I'm very excited. What about you, Rhett?
You know, things are fine. Everything's fine. I got a bike fit done last week, which is great.
What is that?
So
They measure your inseam, right?
okay, I'll keep this brief. When you ride a bike a lot and you are riding long distances a lot, the bike fit and how you fit on the bike becomes really important because you're doing a lot of repetitive motion. Like I'm spinning the pedals tens of thousands of times per ride. So if your bike is not fit properly or you're not fit to your bike, you can get injuries and be really uncomfortable and everything. So nerds like me go to other bigger nerds and pay a lot of money to get on these fancy machines with lasers and cameras and stuff to be measured and perfectly fit and make literal like 5 millimeter adjustments to the bike to get it fit. And I had that done last week, and you wouldn't think like making a 10 millimeter adjustment in your saddle height or a 5 millimeter adjustment in your stem length makes a difference, but holy hell does it make a difference. It's like, I've never had custom shoes made, but I imagine it's like the difference between buying a pair of like nice shoes off the rack that kind of fit versus having like a pair of custom shoes made for you. It's a game changer. So
That's exciting.
yeah.
I'm like that with my guitar strap. If it's like the slightest bit off, it like hurts my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So I
How do you-
understand.
How do you when you go to a race, I assume you have all those measurements. How do you dial that in person? Like, does that make sense? Am I asking
Yeah,
the
so
question?
I
Okay.
took my bike, my gravel bike, to the shop, and we basically got my measurements and everything on this machine, and then he transferred those measurements to my bike. So my bike is now locked in. My bike is
locked.
fit
Okay.
to me. Now, the bummer is if I get another bike or a different bike, I'll have to be fit to that bike because all the geometries are different, and it's not like a one-to-one kind of thing. But word to the wise for people out there that are curious about getting into cycling, which I highly recommend you do, get a fit done first and then go bike shopping because the size of your bike really matters. And so if you have your fit done, you know exactly what size bike you need to get and what brands fit you and what brands don't fit you. It makes your life way easier. So there you go. Zach, what's up? What's
Oh
new with
man,
you?
nothing that exciting. I'm trying to think. We just got a huge pallet of 2 Rocks, which was like, which is crazy. And then we're getting another pallet of Z's, and then another pallet of 2 Rocks. I don't know.
So when you say pallet, how many amps are on a pallet?
That was 7, I think, or so. Because I mean, like it's head and cabs and like combos, so it's a bunch of stuff. But like at this point, we have every model. We don't have every permutation of models because like each amp comes in 2 or 3 like wattages, you know. But sorry, we don't have any Studio Sigs, but we have everything else. And then the next palette is like 5 or 6 Studio Sig amps. So like we've just been like gearing up for kind of like the beginning of fall. You know,
holiday rush, all that stuff coming up.
Hopefully. But apart from that, it's just we've been working on a lot of projects. I've been sending you guys some sneak peek photos that I've photoshopped of the next release, which is going to be really cool. And to end cap all of it, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to buy a laser cutter.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think in the comments, if there's anyone out there who does laser cutting professionally as an amateur, let me know, because I'm looking at the X tool, which is it's like the current, there was like Glowforge for a minute and then Dremel made one. And I think this is like the new thing. But it's like almost 4 feet wide. It's like, it's like a big thing. So I have to figure out where to put it, where to vent it. But I think if we have that, then the options for us to be able to do custom things, is just going to fly through the
I'm just
roof.
going to start asking you to like, hey, can you laser cut this for me? Hey, can you print this on this piece of wood for me?
Well, I mean, like, it's really like limitless, and it would be so fun because you could make like, you can make custom like caps for pedals, just like how Greer does it.
Yep.
Because like you think about it, like no light speed, the enclosures aren't powder coated. They're raw, just drilled, and then they have a faceplate. It's like, man, that's saving a lot of money. But just that amount of like freedom is really cool. But like you can make custom picks, you can make boxes, like wooden boxes, like keychains, like all sorts of stuff. Like we could just make all of it. And two, like you guys know me, if I can turn something into $1, I will. So I already have a ton of ideas for things ancillary to all this, but ultimately I just want to do stuff for that and then be able to make my son more Halloween costumes because I mistakenly showed him like all the cool scenes from the first Iron Man movie.
Bro.
And he's like, I need an Iron Man suit. I'm like, hell yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
So now he's like, you can make that. I'm like, am I a wizard? Like
Your dad, you are a wizard.
well, that's true.
100%.
I mean, I messed up by making him a full bat suit with like, abs and stuff. And now he thinks, oh, if you can make that, you can make an Iron Man suit. It's all like flat.
Yeah, just a bunch of angles, man. You got this.
So, but I'm excited. So Halloween will be even more fun and complicated moving forward if this happens. But I think it's something we're going to get. Matthew is kind of like, he's the money guy, And he's my my soundboard for most things, and he's into it. So very exciting. Maybe I'll make dip merch, or we could.
Dude, I was going to say, for real, we need to make merch and make some like patron exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
So, which by the way is a great segue into join our Patreon. We got a nice little crew of people hanging out with us live right now while we're recording the episode. And when we're finished recording here, we're going to jump in and record a bonus episode for the patrons only. And those bonus episodes are a great time. We really, really enjoy doing it. I get to cut loose and kind of hang out with everyone here. So links in the description. Check out our Patreon. Apparently, we're going to start doing custom laser cut stuff for the patrons real soon. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know what it is going to be or when it's going to be, but there you go.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Burn holes in all the new shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
Send us your stuff and we'll just burn holes in it.
We have
send it back to
shirts?
you.
We do have shirts. You can go to dippedintone.com, look at all the merch. I've had to do some fine tuning. Someone ordered one of the DV, the dipped PV logo, hats, but apparently it was like, this is all wrong. So apparently these are getting redone. So those hats are going to be nice and look good. But all the shirts are awesome. We have a ton of merch and, hopefully going to kind of in the comments, if you're a patron, let us know what kind of merch you'd like to see, because I need more ideas.
Yeah.
John in the chat says Def would buy the Iron Man suit. So we'll have a limited edition dipped in tone Iron Man suit.
I would just be so high from all the barge cement, like gluing those together.
By limited edition, we mean maybe just one, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Just a helmet, maybe just an arc reactor.
David in the chat said Iron Man suit, but with Rhett's head as a mask.
Oh, yeah.
That's nightmare fuel right there. Nobody wants to see that. Also, want to quickly thank the sponsor of today's episode, which is Sweetwater. Links in the description to some of the gear that we're using to create today's episode are down there. Those will be affiliate links, which is a great way to support the show if you like what we're doing here. And then, Zach, you were saying that you were on Gear Exchange last week. What's going on with that?
So we wanted to try listing our used instruments in more places, and I had seen another great retailer of used things, Pre-Rocked Pedals, putting all their used pedals on the Gear Exchange on Sweetwater, and they said it's been an awesome experience. So we dove in and tried it, and already sold our first guitar on there. It's quick, easy, like no problem to set it up. They have like website integration for the Gear Exchange, so if you have like a used website for flipping gear and stuff, you can integrate it in there. But just the whole process is great. The fees are great. And the thing I like the most about it, and the thing I think that's going to make Gear Exchange be something that more people kind of dive into, is since there's not really any new stuff, there's a lot of mint things, but there's not new stuff. So you're not bombarded with like, packs of strings or cables or whatever when you're just trying to look for stuff. There's no new things on there really. So you can really quickly dive into the thing you're trying to search for and find it without just being inundated with incredible numbers of like new listings. So that's really cool.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. So huge thanks to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. Links to Gear Exchange. We'll link to High Voltage on Gear Exchange. And like I said, all the affiliate links, the stuff we're using today are down there. And once again, massive thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's episode. Addison, do we have a hot take?
Do we ever? I like this hot take quite a bit. Connor says, quilt tops do not belong on a Les Paul. Ooh. How do we feel about quilted tops, guys?
Quilt. So like quilt is another version of flame, and flame is all like mutations of the wood. So I think quilt can be cool. It just depends on what finish it is. But I think quilt is probably the most divisive. That and bird's eye of maple tops. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think I might agree here because on the surface, it's a little weird to say just quilt, but now that I'm picturing it in my head, just purely quilted,
like quintessential quilt.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right to me. That's much more of like a PRS kind of thing. And it does, again, get into that thing of traditionally when I see a really quilty top, it's also usually paired with some goofy color, like a, dragon scale green or something like that. And it just doesn't feel right to me for Les Paul. I feel like a good Les Paul should be either a nice flame, but also I don't even really like a super flamey top on a Les Paul. I like something kind of more subtle and plain.
I think like the coolest Les Paul tops are the ones where it's not, I don't like hyper consistent grain where like the super like chevron-y V's and stuff. I don't like that. Or even when it's straight and it's like super tight flame. I like the stuff that has a little bit more movement. So it's like a quilt if you like, shrank it. So it's like you shrunk the quilt. So it's kind of got these ripples and stuff. I think that's called fiddleback. There are so many ways to designate these things. And maybe for the uninitiated, like quilt is typically like little peaks and valleys that have a lot of movement in them, but it looks kind of like waves on an ocean or something almost.
Yeah.
It's a very unique sort of thing, but
it's not my favorite look. It just, I just don't like the super exotic wood top thing in general on really any guitar. Like acoustics doesn't really do anything for me. Electrics, like, no.
You've got a bit of the bear claw thing happening on your bourgeois, right?
Well, yeah, that is a bear claw top.
Okay.
But even that's
pretty subtle, right?
It's pretty subtle. Okay, here's a good example. So like the Powers, I was using this in a video yesterday, but it's pretty good. That's about as much sort of flame or detail or quilt in a top as I would want. Anything more than that, and it's just a little gaudy to me. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I like it when the tops like pop out. Like my R9, in certain angles, it's like it's not plain looking by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have a lot of flame in certain angles. Then you turn it, and it's like someone flipped on the lights. So I don't know. I think quilt is probably. I think bird's eye is my least favorite, and then quilt's my second.
Bird's eye is cool on a neck, though.
I do love bird's eye on a
neck. But on a top, like.
No.
On a neck, I agree. I think it looks awesome. Mm-hmm. But
especially like a subtle. I had a G&L from like 2001 that had like the most perfect subtle bird's eye. Like it was beautiful. I'm like, man, that was great. I wish all my guitars had just that small amount of bird's eye on there. But yeah, I'm a plain top guy. I like plain tops on Les Pauls. I
don't know. I just think like when I envision a Les Paul, I see ones with flame. So I like it. I do like plane tops too. There's something cool about it, but I don't think there's anything quite as neat as like when you see like a plainish looking Les Paul and then the player moves and then all the flame just goes wow, bam. It's like, yeah, give me more.
Well, there you go. Good hot take this week. If you want to submit your hot take to possibly be read out on the show, or maybe even a whole episode coming up soon, email us dippedintone@gmail.com. Any and all hot takes. And yeah.
The topic at hand. What is it?
We have to talk about AI. We feel like we have to talk about it. It came up last week in the episode. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, go check it out. It just sort of came up. And we have been sort of talking about it offline a little bit. I think all three of us are using AI in our sort of daily work lives, right?
Yeah.
I think it's becoming sort of ubiquitous now, for better or for worse. Obviously, there's a lot of stories of, from what I've heard, like younger generations, kids, people in school now are like using it to basically replace their brains and can't think or whatever without looking something up on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Which is weird because AI gets stuff wrong all of the time. Like,
yeah.
My experience with it so far is like I constantly have to double check and then tell it that it's wrong, and it's not super reliable right now.
Yeah.
So, okay, Zach, how are you using AI in your daily life?
So I use AI mostly for photos. Now, I don't use it for photo creation, except like here lately, I've been using it in the background of some of the thumbnail videos. Like, we had the hype episode, and all I wanted was just like a background of like thumbs up emojis, and I could have made that, but all I had to do was go to ChatGPT and say, make me a high res background image of thumbnail emojis as a collage. And then it spits it out. But I use it a lot in Photoshop because so often when I'm taking pictures, the room I take photos in is about the size of my office here. So inevitably in the corner are C-stands with lights or extension cords or something that I'll miss when I'm taking a photo, or I just can't get out of frame. Yeah. And I'll use Photoshop's AI, which is now, it keeps getting better and smarter and faster to just I'll just select it by hand and say, replace this. And it looks at the rest of the image and then just fixes it. And there have been a few times where it's obviously done, but in the past few months, you can't really tell that there was anything there. And one of the things that it's doing now is not just in like replacing images, but for cutting us out to make thumbnails. Cause I do all that in Photoshop. I don't use Canva. I don't use anything else. I'm an Adobe Photoshop guy. I have been since I was like 16 years old. So I've been using it a long time, but it now uses some cloud AI stuff that you can select the subject of the image. And like, if you're watching this on YouTube, both Rhett and I have a microphone that is typically somewhere in front of our person.
Right.
And I don't want it to just like chop off the stand on the edge of my shoulder here. I want to have that going over there. And it is now so smart that it can see, oh, that's also in the same kind of like focal range. And it cuts all that out too, as well as like getting really detailed, like around the headphones, like in the gaps around my head and my hair and your hair, Rhett, because your hair is like much finer, but like little waves everywhere. So it's so great. But I also use it a lot for data analysis.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing that a lot too. So my daily life with AI is basically as some kind of organizational assistant. I've built out, I've been experimenting between ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and I think I've settled on Gemini for most things just because it integrates so well with YouTube and the stuff that we work on a daily basis. But like being able to, I was doing this yesterday. I had a video come out a few weeks ago that just bombed. My tape echo video just absolutely bombed. And for years, when I make a video, I go in and look at the analytics and try and figure out, okay, why is this working? Why is this not working? But it's a lot of data and it's a lot of stuff to parse through. Well, now I just sit and take a screenshot of the the YouTube analytics screen, I dump it into this gem that I created that's like specifically a YouTube analytics gem that's trained on my channel. And I just say, okay, what's going on here? And it gives me a spit out a analysis of what's actually happening with this video and why something's working and why something's not. And as someone who's been doing YouTube full time since 2018, I am shocked at how accurate it is and shocked at how good it is at coming up with nuanced looks at why something is working and why it's not working. And it has helped me out in like planning videos and getting ready to go. Like earlier this summer, Tilly and I were on the road for 5 weeks. We did this big trip, and in the weeks leading up to that, I banked up all my content ahead of time, and I used AI to help me stay on task to like, okay, I have these videos to shoot, and it broke everything down and it created a calendar for me that I just dumped into my iCal. And so every day I knew what I needed to be working on in order to get everything done. And I got it all done. And not only that, all of the videos that I made and posted while I was on my trip, like did incredibly well. And the channel was doing well, even though I was sort of on vacation, so to speak. So in that respect, I have found a lot of success. Also, like getting a new piece of gear, right? Like my Electron boxes that I love, those are kind of complicated boxes. So one thing I'll do is create an AI assistant where I take the user manual and I take any forum posts that I found or whatever, and I dump it into the AI. And then when I'm learning the piece of gear, I'll just ask, hey, how do I do this? And you have to put some guidelines around it. This is like where you sort of have to be AI literate, where you tell it, only reference this material that I've given you. Do not guess on your answers, and always cite your sources for the answers. And so I'll ask it how to do something. It'll reference something in the manual. It'll give me a link to where it says that thing in the manual, and it has sped up my learning curve for new pieces of gear or editing, like switching to a new editing software. Like it's been huge for that stuff. So those are the good sides, but we're not just going to sit here and talk about like all the good stuff, because there's some scary things ahead for us, I think.
Addison, have you used it at all in any of your day-to-day life yet?
A very small amount, and I'm intrigued by the conversation so much, particularly surrounding productivity, because I like manage a lot of different things, like a lot of probably 10 to 15, let's call them clients at the same time, people I'm working with on different projects, and they're pretty vastly different. And so I have a tendency project wise to kind of like get a little stressed out and lose track of things, and so from a productivity standpoint, I'm really excited to dive in. I think for me, I'm just like, sometimes you need to stop and take a moment to work on the work, meaning you've got to like, I've got to set aside a day to like, get acquainted with AI and how it works, and get an account and just spend some time with it. Rhett, you and I were talking about switching from Premiere to Resolve. Same thing. It's like, I can't just go like, cool, I edit it in Resolve now. It's like, you have to take time to work on that work. And so I think that it's inevitable for most people. And especially, you're talking about young kids in school, for our generation, like we were kind of the last generation to go from not really having computers all the time to computers. And so we're very technology literate, where our parents might struggle with like, how do I find this app on my phone or whatever? It's like, I got to call my dad and walk him through like, hey, you go to the app store. This is what you're looking for. Right. But our kids are going to grow up with AI, and they're going to be so AI literate, not illiterate. They're going to be so AI literate. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch happen. In terms of like, my use cases, I think for me, the biggest things have been some of the tools for like audio restoration, or even like video clip stuff. So kind of similar to what you're saying, Zach, with, Photoshop. And I've used like the auto remove background that happened a few years ago in Photoshop has been incredible for some of the stuff I work on. You just say remove background, and it like 99% of the time nails it. So yeah, it's really powerful. But like you guys said, there's definitely like there's some harder days ahead as our world adjusts to this.
Yeah, right now it's the worst it will ever be.
Wow,
and that's kind of the scary part. So this past NAMM, I had a meeting with some people. I have to be careful how I say this.
I know this.
Addison, I don't think I've told you this. Yeah. So I had a meeting where I got sat down. I went to this like ballroom in the basement of the Hilton, and I got sat down in front of a laptop and hit the space bar on the laptop. And this AI janky sort of avatar asked me, "Hey, tell me about your guitar practice. What do you want to learn today?" And I said, teach me about spread triads. It's like, oh, okay. Well, here's some YouTube videos that I found on spread triads for you. And it just started like going through and sort of curating all of this information about spread triads. And it would show the YouTube video, but not only that, it would pull the video up and go to the specific like 90-second or 2-minute segment of the video where the person was talking about spread triads. The pitch to me was, join this thing and we'll make an AI avatar of you so that your fans can basically have you as their guitar teacher, right? That was sort of the general gist of it. It's a little more detailed than that, but I did not have a good reaction to it. The people that were giving me the pitch, I think, were not expecting my reaction to it. I think the other people they had shown so far, where everyone was like, "Whoa, this is cool," and I was like, "This is very much not cool," and I don't want to be a part of this. And you don't have my permission to use any of my stuff or scrape any of my courses or anything, because that was one of the things I think they were looking to do, was like to get access to my courses, which is my business. I mean, this is how I support myself, as a way to train this AI avatar of me to think. And I was like, from my perspective, this is me putting myself out of a job. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but the whole thing felt very weird and creepy to me. And this gets into that sort of scary part of the conversation, which is like, when it comes to guitar and music, I think there's a lot of really good stuff that will happen with AI. I do think people will learn better and faster using these AI tools, but is that going to replace guitar teachers? Is that going to replace the things we do? Is that going to replace, YouTube creators or whatever? Like, I don't know. The whole thing was just very off-putting to me.
Yeah.
When was that? How long ago was that?
It was at NAMM, so it was January.
Okay. I would be curious if in 2 years you had the same reaction to it as you begin to adjust to the idea of AI kind of integrating into our lives. And that, who knows, but I'm just thinking, like, is it inevitable that we're going to have to accept some of these things? Because I feel like, for me, I don't really want to, I'll just like do it the old way. Like, I just, but when you start to see the value in some of these things, and there's a lot of chat going on about how when it's stealing like IP from people, right, intellectual property, and using that to create images or, music, things like that, that's where the chat's going, hey, we don't think that's okay. And I totally agree with that. But
and a bigger part of that conversation too, about having like having an avatar of yourself that you don't have any control over the conversation, unless there's such like strict guardrails up to say, you can only talk about guitar. But there's a problem that happens that when you're at, Rhett's level or anybody in that space where you have an audience, and this happens to me in occasionally, but those people, they do know you, but they think that they really know you and that you have like a good, kinship or a friendship. And so that wall starts to chip away. And if they're speaking to you in a way, then that wall is going to probably disintegrate entirely. So in public interactions where people come up and talk to you, then it's going to make those things even harder, because not only are people going to feel like they know you from watching videos and joining live streams and chats and things like that, but they have spent time talking to some facsimile of you. There's an invasion of privacy that people don't quite understand all that often that I think is kind of dangerous. And not to say that everyone is malicious in that intent, but it's a scary thing to, have someone that, even for me, I regret often talking about my kid and my wife because people, absolute strangers will be like, how's Graham doing? I'm like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that to consider too. But I think ultimately you're right. Like, I don't know, even after technology, grows and grows and grows, because all this is, it's this AI is just a cumulative thing. The more it's fed, the more it's going to learn. But I still think it is ultimately that sort of thing is taking away the thing that makes music and connection and education special. Is it's about, not being force fed everything or spoon fed rather.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some ethical issues with it, right? There's the issue of energy use and, companies like X building these massive server farms in like poor neighborhoods that are absolutely ruining the environment and the quality of life for those neighborhoods and all this stuff. And then also the fact that frankly, these LLMs were trained on copywritten work and material, whether it was music or literature or video or film or whatever. Like they just basically scraped the whole internet and trained their models on stolen work, essentially. Now, this is the struggle for me, is like all of that is true, but AI is now inevitable and its progression is inevitable. It's a part of life now. And so I think trying to find ways of using it where it makes sense and it's helpful, but it's not, I don't know. This is the struggle. This is like, I can't even articulate it properly. You know what I mean? Like the way I'm using it now is like as an organizational and structuring tool, but I am also using it as a learning tool, right? Like, for those that don't know, I don't really talk about this. One of the hobbies I've had for a long time is ham radio. I'm a ham radio operator. KM4SKM is my call sign.
What?
Yeah. And 10 years ago, I got my license and I've kind of come in and out of the hobby a little bit, but recently I've gotten back into it because I'm thinking about like, here in the South, we have a lot of storms and storms are getting worse. Hurricane Helene came through last year and absolutely decimated Western North Carolina and it almost hit Atlanta. And like that kind of stuff is becoming more prevalent now. So I'm starting to think more about like preparedness, and I'm not turning into a weird like prepper or conspiracy theorist type, but like
not yet.
All this to say, like I've gotten back into my ham radio stuff and I've been using Gemini to like, cause I'm going to go back and get my general license, my next license up. And I'm using Gemini to help me learn and study for the next exam and help me figure out like, I want to build a Raspberry Pi to be an SDR. And how do I integrate that with my home network? And how do I do all that stuff? I'm using AI to do that kind of thing. And it's basically just a curation tool. It is curating all of the information on the internet and just serving it up to me in one place, which is basically the thing that I was pitched at NAMM was. The only difference was that they wanted me to be an AI avatar version of myself talking to people that watch me. And that just felt like that. I don't know, man. It was like uncanny. I didn't like it at all. So I don't know. I'm totally conflicted on it.
This is really interesting. Jay in the comments says, did anyone see that company that Amazon purchased called Bee, where you wear a bracelet and it records your entire data summarized via AI? The scary part is even if you don't want to participate, you have to worry about someone else wearing it and recording your interactions with you. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about where it's like, even if it's something we don't want to be a part of, it is inevitable for
why do you need
our
that?
world. Right. It's true.
What?
Yeah.
I could understand if you're some like hotshot CEO and you need like a record of everything, every conversation, everything that you need to scrape and say, well, what did I talk about with that person? Like that, I see value in that, but like the average consumer, because I think that's the big problem is that we're fed, and that's partly like with young people, like, it just becomes easier, like for no reason than learning something or just remembering something. Like, why do you need something to remember your day. If you use that, then eventually you're not going to be able to remember anything. And it's just, it's dumbing us down in a way. And I think the big problem I have with all of it, and I'm sure you guys would agree with me on this, is just people are using it as a crutch for creativity, as a way to create things from nothing. Well, from other people's work that is being manipulated. And to me, it's so boring and so empty and soulless that we're going to see. I would hope that there will be like a bit of a dip in that sort of like lust for creativity that so many of us have. And hopefully after all this kind of fizzles out in that realm, because I don't think AI is going to go away in any sort of like, business sense, or it's going to replace a lot of jobs. It's going to do all that. But I think the creative thing, it feels kind of fad and trendy right now.
Yeah. I don't see very much of the AI creative thing because people don't want AI to make stuff for them. People make stuff for the sake of making stuff. Like we play music, we make music because we get joy out of making music. Telling an AI LLM or some system to make a song for me is completely pointless because I didn't make it. I didn't do it. So it doesn't matter. Yes, on a macro scale, you're seeing, companies like Spotify start to replace, significant portions of their curated playlists with AI music because they're a mega evil corporation that just wants to keep more of the profit share for themselves. They've already been stealing money from artists for the last 15 plus years, and they found new ways of doing it. So yes, you have it on that scale, but on a more like micro scale, interpersonal scale, I don't see AI decimating the guitar industry because no one wants to learn guitar anymore because they can just have an AI model that'll do it for them. Like there was that interview of that one tech bro CEO a few months ago that was like, oh, well, this is great because, people don't want to learn an instrument. People don't want to learn. They don't want to take the time to do this stuff. And it's like, bro, you're so out. Tell me you've never done anything. That's harsh. Yeah. I was going to say, tell me you've never done anything creative without telling me you've ever done anything creative, which is not fair. I'm sure the guy does.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. But the idea of like, oh, well, you don't have to learn an instrument now because this machine will do it for you. Well, dude, that's the whole point. Like, I don't have to ride my bike. I have a car. Like I can drive places. I ride my bike because it gives me something that driving a car can't give me. It's good for my mental health. It's good for my physical health. It's a way for me to like process my day. It's a way for me to stay healthy and stay in shape. Like there's this disconnect, and I'm seeing this in the Patreon chat here too. There's like what the tech bro evil mega corporation CEOs want for the world, and then there's like reality and what people actually do and want. And so yes, there are ways that AI has been helpful for all of us in different avenues, but it's, again, more on that like technical productivity, organizational side of stuff, especially for us who are self-employed small business owners, where throughout the course of a day, I literally will have 30 or 40 different tasks that I should be doing or have to be doing, and I just can't get to all of them. Like, yeah, having some kind of assistant keeping track of all that stuff for me is incredibly useful. But like, I'm not then going to have it make an intro for my YouTube videos or, any of that kind of stuff. It's just not what I want because it's not me anymore. It's not my voice. And that's the whole point of why I'm doing this stuff.
Absolutely.
That's a really good point. I often tell people like, as a music maker, a producer, a mixer, all of these things, like I want to, in modern music, loops and splice and samples are a huge part of our world. Like that's just a lot of I shouldn't say most, a lot of the music we listen to that is pop music in particular uses that stuff. But I constantly am telling people, I'm like, man, I want to get the best friggin' kick tone I can and the best snare tone that I can. And like, I want to still record real drums in a room. I want to still record guitar amps in a good room. I want to move a microphone if it's a little bit too bright. Like, to me, as a creator, that stuff's never going to change in me. Mm-hmm. And so that is the kind of, that's a very specific thing to me. for what I do, but I think that for creative people in general, we are always going to create regardless of AI. An artist is always going to want to paint. Now, there probably will be AI artists. There already are people making money as AI artists, but there are people, myself included, and I think you guys, we're always going to want to create and do the thing. And so regardless of AI existing, like, we're still going to make stuff with our hands and with our brains and with our bodies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the act of making, of creating, it's such a physical thing for me. Like, I love like getting paint under my fingernails and like making stuff, and like doing all that by hand will never be replaced. I mean, like,
No.
you know, I'd say even now there's probably something that could create a file and then 3D print something if you just gave it a description. Would it be good? Probably not. But it's like, that still doesn't even really count. Like, the people that impress me the most in that realm, and like digital creation of physical objects, they're still like modeling it, and because there's still like, there's feeling and personality that goes into anything that you make, even if it's in a digital way, even if it's, you know, chopping up a drum track to make some sort of break beat. Like, you know, it's like a person has to put their energy into it for it to feel like music.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I mean, it probably will happen that in the next couple of years, it's going to get really close to tricking us. But at least there's the fact that, you know, it could never replace like the physical act of creation, you know?
Dude, I've already seen people use AI in incredibly creative ways. There's this person on TikTok. I can never remember their username, but they make these like film trailers, these like movie trailers for movies that don't exist, but they have a very specific aesthetic, and people in the chat might know what I'm talking about, where it looks like it might have been shot in the early to mid 1950s on color film, and it's this very sci-fi horror uncanny aspect, but it's like, it's beautiful and freaky and compelling, and like, it's a good piece of art that was created with an AI tool, and they're using the AI to create something that not necessarily you couldn't create without it, but it wouldn't have been created that way. And there's so many examples of that in music, where a new piece of technology comes along and people lament it. Like when the synthesizer came along, people were, you know, their musicians unions were trying to ban them in studios in LA because they were going to, you know, replace horn players or string quartets or whatever. And I mean, it birthed whole new genres and styles of music. Same thing with samples. And I mean, dude, like the hip hop world, or even like you look at genres like jungle and drum and bass from the late 80s and early 90s, where they're taking break beats like the Amen break, you know, the funk drums, speeding them up, chopping them up, and creating whole new genres of music that impacted millions of people. They did that because there was this new tool that came out, the sampler, the MPC, whatever, that a lot of musicians and people at the time looked down on and said, oh, like, that's not real. That's not a real instrument. You're not making real music with that. Well, so my point in saying that, like, the AI is different than an NPC, because an NPC is not creative on its own. It still requires a human behind it to drive it. But I think we're actually going to see a pushback and the pendulum swing the other way to people wanting more human connection. I think we're only a few months away from AI being good enough to start fooling. Like, dude, I've seen it already. I've had it happen to me on Instagram or TikTok, where I see a reel, a video that, had I not gone in the comments and looked, I would not have known that it was AI. And it scared me. I'm like, oh shit, I can't, like, that looks real. And I think as that starts to become more and more prevalent in daily life, people are going to swing the other way and want to engage with art or content or whatever that they know is real, they know was made by a human being, because that's valuable to us.
Yeah. I've noticed with advertising, like, because like AI voiceovers and like really crappy sort of voiceover stuff. I've heard a lot, but now I'm seeing a lot of it with video, and it's like, people, trying to sell a company or a service or whatever. And it's just like an AI avatar talking to the camera. And I'm like, that's not real. But there are a couple ways to tell. As an aside and a recommendation to all of us, as I think it has a lot of value, the YouTube channel Corridor Digital or Corridor Crew, those guys who are graphic artists, they're, they do computer graphics and CG and stuff for movies and whatnot. They have a video on how to identify like fake, like AI generated or, manipulated videos. And it's really interesting, but it is getting scary because there are some telltale stuff. And the thing I worry most about with all this is kind of our parents' generation. And maybe the young people too. I don't know if they can tell the difference sometimes because maybe they've been so indoctrinated by the uncanny valley that it is normal to them. It is scary though.
I'm seeing it with my parents too. My mom will send me something that's so clearly like it's a picture of someone and there's like 12 fingers on one hand or like an arm is just completely clipping into somebody else's body or whatever. And I'm like, Mom, that ain't real. That ain't real. Like, that is its own. I mean, the boomers, God bless them.
Yes.
I think they're just on their own with this one. It's moving too fast. I don't think there's any hope of them. Like,
they still can't figure out how to attach an image to an email. So how can we trust them to identify an AI video?
We're asking too much of them.
We're asking too much of them. The young people, I think it is a different thing. And I'm not educated enough on like what's happening with, I don't have kids. I'm not going to have kids. So I'm not going to speak on that stuff. I only know what I've seen on the internet, and we obviously have to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. But like, I don't know, man. David in the chat, Brendan in the chat saying, I'll say this again, as a former insider with this tech, it fundamentally can't get much better without a complete rebuild of the model architecture. And I have seen people talk about that. There's a really interesting video that got sent to me 2 weeks ago. I need to send it to you guys if you haven't seen it already, but it basically plays out 2 or 3 different scenarios over the next 10 years of like AI and how it's going to impact the world globally. Not just like what we're talking about here, the creative work or music or whatever, but just like the world. And one of them is a very doomsday scenario. It's very, AI takes over the world and kills the human race. And all this stuff is like backed up by actual research and data that's being done. This is not like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It's very well cited, very well researched video. But the other scenario, in my opinion, the more likely scenario is that these systems get so good that they just become the default. Like everyone, every world government, every country, every business, every person ends up relying on these systems because they're so good and so fast that we all just end up relying on it, and it ends up eliminating so many jobs that we have to go to some kind of universal basic income. And this is why I think AI is inevitable, is because we're already seeing it. These major corporations and these major companies are finding every possible avenue to replace human employees with an AI system or a computer, because AI systems can work 24/7. They don't need healthcare. They don't need vacation. They don't need insurance. They don't need a yearly salary. They don't need all this stuff. And there's no stopping that, man. Like you're not going to stop some corporation from replacing most of their employee base with a computer that can do the job for what? No money, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like
a subscription cost.
Yeah. The second that Amazon can replace their entire workforce, whether it's drivers or warehouse workers or software developers with AI, you think Jeff Bezos and the people at Amazon are not going to do that? So that's my point in saying it's inevitable. Is like, this is capitalism. This is what's going to happen. We're all going to be replaced to some degree with these computer systems because it's going to make a few people at the very top even more money and even more wealthy. And yeah, like I just don't, that part of it I don't see going away.
Yeah. If this at all freaks you out, don't watch the last 2 Mission Impossible films. Just wait to the wife. But
Did you guys see the bunny rabbits in the middle of the night jumping on the trampoline?
Yeah.
That's the one that got me last week. I sent it to Beck. I was like, isn't this awesome? Check this out. And then I just randomly came across a comment. It was a meme that said, it was basically like, they were like, me in the corner huddling on my couch when I realized that the AI bunnies weren't real. And I was like, what? That wasn't real? Maybe
I saw
put the
that one
video
too, but I saw it in the context of someone reacting to it being AI. So the first time I saw it, it was someone saying, and I watched it, and even knowing that it was AI, I watched it and was like, oh, this would have got me. This would have fooled me for sure.
I gotta see this. I feel like I have such a good eye for it because I'm so detail oriented and such a nerd that hopefully I wouldn't get fooled. But now I gotta see it.
Well, part of it is because we're just inundated with content nonstop all day, every day now. Like you can't look at you can't, think of how many screens we all look at on a daily basis. And so your brain just kind of gets desensitized to the point of like, you're just taking in information all the time. So when something like that comes up, your brain sees it and goes, yeah, okay, that's what that is. Because it's seeking patterns and it's seeking, all these different things.
Well, Joy in the chat says the sound gave it away for me. I didn't have the sound on, I don't think. Maybe it would have given it away for me too. I don't know.
Like the chattering of
rabbits. Exactly. Yeah. That's not rabbit chatter.
To bring it back, what this sounds like.
To bring it back down to the guitar world is, where do you guys think AI is going to come into play in our space?
And have like permanence?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, there've been a lot of people that have tried it for creating, pedals or code for like, digital stuff. And I think that might, that stuff's really hard. So maybe, maybe there's something to that. But I don't know. I think, we're going to see a lot more people try to use it as a way to create music, but I feel like, and I hope that in the guitar space, it kind of stays away. I'm only ever curious about it so far as music goes to help me understand like real basic stuff. Like what's something other than a 1-4-5 chord progression that I could use to like make a funky backing track for like a YouTube video. Like I want to try that because I'm just not that well versed in it. But even then, it could spit out something that just sounds like, or give me a progression that's stupid. And, so I don't know. Well, like, where do you guys think it's going to go?
I could see a couple of different things. Like, Jay in the chat says, I enjoy apps like Moises that can do AI track separation. I use Moises a lot, actually. If I'm practicing something or learning something, this is not sponsored. I pay for it full price. It's great being able to drop a song in and like isolate the guitar track to hear, like sometimes if you're transcribing something, you can't quite hear what a chord voicing is doing, or like something's buried in the mix and you can just isolate it and hear it. And then on the other side, if you're practicing to something, just cut the guitar track out altogether. And then you are the guitar track. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty great. Also, I could see a situation. There's a plugin that exists now. It's more for the synth world where you can feed it a sample of a synthesizer and it will recreate that exact sound in this plugin. Even if it was a vintage Moog Model D recorded 50 years ago or whatever it was, it can recreate that sound. I could see something like that happening in the guitar world where there's a plugin or a pedal and you say, hey, I'm playing the intro or I'm playing Eruption, and it listens and then it just gives you that guitar tone exactly on the pedal or in the plugin. And
AI modeling.
Now, exactly. There's already starting to do that, like the Positive Grid Spark in their app. They have this, and it's absolute garbage right now. But it's like, oh, I want a sweet lead tone with a touch of reverb and some ambience, and then it like crafts this right now really shitty sounding guitar tone. But like, again, think about most people who are guitar players. They're hobbyists. They do it for fun. They do it on the weekends or after work or whatever. They don't have the time to dedicate like we do to really getting down into the weeds with this stuff. Why wouldn't they use something like that? Like, oh yeah, I want to play Hot for Teacher. I'm going to feed it this thing, and then it's going to give me Eddie's actual guitar sound, and I'm going to play Hot for Teacher.
Yeah. You can like research what was even used and like help craft it. Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing.
I think for me, it is, and I have experienced it, it is tools to help fix problems that were created either by human error or just a product of environment. So 2 examples of that. I do location sound every now and then. When you're on location, you're at the mercy of the wind. You're at the mercy of someone's outfit that they have. If I put a lav on somebody and they have a noisy outfit, exactly. That's the stuff AI can help fix those. That's a tool that I can now go, hey, I actually don't have to stress as much. We're with a documentary crew and we're going hard, and I don't have time to try 5 different lav placements and see which one sticks. And the reality is I might try 5 and they might all suck because the outfit is just a windbreaker and it's loud. So that's one example. Another one would be, where I think it can be really helpful for the way a lot of music is made today. Similarly, on a vocal, maybe you get a poorly recorded vocal and you have a tool, and there are tools, but I just think the potential of, something getting even better, you get a bad vocal in and you go, man, I need to fix this vocal. And some AI tool allows you to do that. And now you have a usable vocal take, and it's an actual human vocal take. And yeah, maybe there's some sort of, replacement happening or whatever, but it's still that person's performance that you've used an AI tool to help enhance. And so for me, I think there's a lot of really helpful things that it can do for us. So that's a couple ideas.
I guess that's it. AI, good and bad. Don't use it to make stuff.
Well, I don't even know. Don't use it to make stuff, because it's like,
don't use it as a replacement for your own creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the core of creativity still needs to be there, because there's so many examples of like, I just downloaded. I'm getting into Ableton. I'm trying to learn how to use Ableton, and one of the biggest things Ableton is great at is like audio, like time stretching and stuff. So if I take a drum loop and I drop it into Ableton, and then I use Ableton's technology to stretch the drum loop to a different tempo, does that mean that that the work that I'm creating using that tool or using that material is not valid because I didn't record the drums myself? I didn't play the drums myself. I took someone else's thing and stretched it and moved it around. I don't necessarily think that means that my music then is less inherently creative or valuable. But if in a few years Ableton does an AI update or whatever, and I can just pull up a little text box and say, hey, make me a Aphex Twin style track in this key that's this many bars and has these sections, well then, yeah, that's not really you're not making music, you're using the machine to make it for you. So like, where's that line is really hard, I think, to nail down. Or Addison, like what you said, like with those tools, it's going to use AI, just like with the Photoshop stuff. When you're cutting something out, it is generating something that's not there. Or if you're using AI to fix a vocal, it's listening and it's generating what it thinks would be there that's not there. So it is creating something that you didn't capture, that you didn't make, that you didn't create. So like, where's that line?
Yeah. It's solving problems. I mean, yeah. But the argument for that still is like, well, but how far are we going to let it go?
I know that's the hard part. And I don't have the answer. I just I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
I need to know, Rhett. I need to know the answer.
Well, should we dip a rig and cleanse our palate?
I know.
AI nonsense.
God.
So, if we have already dipped this rig, forgive us, because none of us can remember.
We can't remember.
But I think this is a fun one here. So, this is from Jonathan B. And so, we've got a Silver Sky SE with a Martin D1XE mahogany acoustic, Marshall Origin 50H head, and then a cabinet that he built with his grandfather, which has 2 British V30s in it. This is cool. On the pedal board, we've got, some sort of Musicom buffer under the thing that can be bypassed for a fuzz. Golden Fleece, the Brown Protein, an HX Effects, the Dunlop Expression Volume pedal, a Tone X1, and yeah, that's it.
It's a nice Strat he's got there. I like this rig. Dude, I'm a fan of the all mahogany acoustic.
Yeah, I like all hogs.
Hogs, baby. They always sound great, you know? They're a little boring to look at, but they just sound good. Every mahogany acoustic guitar, full mahogany acoustic guitar, I've just liked. They're very mid-rangey. They're very tend to be a little louder. I don't know. It's hard to nail down, but
they're kind of warm and boxy in a good way.
Yeah.
I had an all mahogany Martin once that was, it just sounded small, but it was cool in that. It was a useful sound. So yeah, these are great little guitars.
Yeah, man. PRS SE Silver Sky. Cool. I don't like the color. Like just the primer gray is.
I kind of like that one. I like it more than like some of the pinks and whatnot. I think it's okay. You know, that's kind of the closest approximate to the core line of SE color, Silver Sky colors. But man, like they're just such good guitars. I don't know if you can find a better S-shaped object or really any guitar for the price of an SE Silver Sky with a good setup. And he said he set this one up. So
what are the SEs retail for?
I think
right now.
Let's just look. SE Silver Sky new. I'm going to go to sweetwater.com, sponsor of this video. This one's, it looks like they're about $849 now.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good deal.
But occasionally they'll do sales on them and they'll be like pretty cheap. I mean, for under $1,000, you can't, they sound really good and they play good. So.
Yeah.
I see them used for $500 all day long. And every time I pick one up, it's good.
Yeah.
And I've played a ton of them. I really want one. I'm like, these are awesome.
You know what's interesting? Every time we talk about or show a Silver Sky, people always dump on the headstock. They're like, oh, it's the worst headstock ever. And I actually really like the PRS headstock. And I think it works on this Strat body. And I appreciate that they flipped it because it's technically like the reverse headstock of a normal PRS, right? Like the longer.
Yeah. So, I mean, like if
top.
you just look at, let's see, can I do this? If you just look at it like that, you would be remiss if you thought that's a normal Strat headstock. Like it's like a big CBS, cutaway there. And I think John did this on purpose so he could get his hand, because when you're playing the open position, you want that out of the way over here. But I like, since it's 3 and a side, they're straight over the nut. The angle, everything, like they stay in tune great. I don't know. I think a lot of people kind of give PRS a lot of flack for the headstock, and as far as function goes, it's perfect. And I don't mind it aesthetically. It matches the guitar,
Yeah, I think the PRS headstocks are fine. I don't understand the hate. And as someone who's given PRS a lot of hate over the years, I think shitting on the headstock is just not valid.
It's low hanging fruit.
There's way worse headstocks out there than the PRS headstock, I think. So okay, pedal board is dialed here. Yeah. I really, really, really like this pedal board. I've said it so many times. The HX effects I still think might be one of the most slept on pieces of gear out there. Dude, it's really kind of a jack of all trades, but in the best way possible. And this is the way to set it up, where you have a few analog gain stages, an overdrive and a fuzz, probably before the effects, or the pro way to do it is to have them in the 2 loops. So you can just turn them on and off with presets and stuff. Some of the line 6 overdrives, like the algorithms sound pretty good, but it's, I think having an analog overdrive or fuzz is still the way to go. But then for all the other stuff, man, the time-based effects, the modulation, the looping capabilities, there's a damn synthesizer in there. Like it's,
how many effects can you use at once on the HX effects? Is it just one or?
No. I mean, you can create like scenes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They can stack up and, it's essentially like the Helix ecosystem, just minus the amps. And I think they even have cabinets in there too, don't they? Like if you had a preamp pedal or something like that.
Man,
I could be wrong on that, but
I can't remember. But I mean, like, I think you're right, because this is, I mean, between the Golden Fleece and the protein, you've got all your, basic food groups kind of covered there. And the Tonex being your amp in a box solution sort of thing. Like, you're kind of set with everything for this rig. Because like, push came to shove, you can just fire up any of the gain pedals in the HX Stomp and you're kind of good.
The other cool thing you can do with it, and I had a small rig set up like this for a while with a Bad Cat that I actually took out on the road a few times, where the HX effects would channel switch essentially. So if you have a channel switching amp, you can set up one of the outputs to do it. But if you just have an amp with 2 inputs, you've got the 2 effects loops outputs there, and you can set it up and wire it inside the HX effects to effectively have your channels saved in. So if you're using presets or scenes, and you can have up to 9 different pedals going at one time, thanks to Phil 40 Watt for clearing that up in the chat here. You can have these scenes, and not only are you turning on the different effects and everything, you're also switching channels on your amp in real time, which is sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome.
And dude, they've been around for a while. They come up used all the time. Like, y'all need to get HX effects in your life. I'm just saying.
I'm so excited to see kind of where this goes. I mean, with the Stadium coming out, I mean, I guess soonish, but they haven't announced any new version of this, but inevitably it's going to happen, and it's probably going to be even more impressive. So,
yeah.
And I think, I don't know if we can all agree on it, but I think the Dunlop volume/expression pedal is a superior product compared to like the Ernie Ball.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's time Ernie Ball like stepped their game up with that volume pedal. They're still doing the same old thing with the string, and man, they're just not reliable.
We sold so many dang replacement strings at Carter Drink, almost every day. Someone would come in and be like, I need a string for my Ernie Ball volume pedal. I'm like, I know you do.
And it's such a pain in the ass to change. No joke, I have had probably 10 Ernie Ball volume pedals. And then, to be fair, the Dunlop ones are not invincible either. I went through 2 or 3 of those. This is back when I was touring a lot more, and I'd break those too. I mean, it's a high wear item,
Yeah, it's got like a thing that's moving on a plate that like it's some
an
sort
optical
of weird
sensor. It's like a.
I thought it was a physical, because Morley is optical.
Oh, is it like it's like a Hall effect sensor or something? It's like a.
I don't know, but it has like a sensor.
It's whatever that does this. It's this sensor, whatever that is.
Have you guys used the Leela volume pedals?
No.
They're
I don't
wonderful.
like volume pedals.
Okay. I've given up on the volume pedal thing. I don't use them anymore.
Yeah.
Expression is cool though.
Yes.
I do, or like what Old Blood Noise does, the expressions that are just little faders that go on your board. I think that's a really cool thing too. Yeah. So, and then amp Origin 50. I've actually never played an Origin 50, but they're pretty good, right?
I've played some of them, but I think at quiet volumes they kind of stink. But when you get them loud, they sound like kind of how they're supposed to. That's the problem with Marshalls and Marshall like amps. They sound fine at low volume. How they sound in your head is when they're like hard to be in a room with.
Yeah, they have to be moving air.
Yeah.
To sound good. Cool. And the cabinet?
Yeah.
Hand built?
Yeah, he and his grandfather in the back has like it's got a hinged back so it can be open or closed, which I could imagine might introduce some rattle, but
maybe.
But
maybe not though. Look at the joinery though on this cabinet build. Like that's some pretty solid woodworking there.
Yeah, it looks good.
Is it mahogany? Is it fine mahogany? It is.
I don't know.
Or is that walnut? It looks like a mahogany like trim piece around the front, around the grill. Maybe it's walnut for the rest of it.
Man, my wood knowledge is not up to snuff, apparently.
Not up to snuff on your wood, huh? Damn.
Not that wood.
Tough scene. That's a really good looking cabinet. You could sell those. Like, it's just nice. It looks good. It probably sounds good, I'm imagining.
If you ever want to get into selling them, make them where they can be horizontal and vertical, put feet and stuff
on either side.
And that's the way to go. And if anyone could ever frickin' make a logo that goes on that rotates,
yeah.
You'd be winning.
That's some Port City. I need to talk to Daniel. Daniel should do that because the Port City logo is that round badge, and he should just put it on a thing where you can flip it up and just clock it, 45 degrees or whatever, 90 degrees?
45.
No, 45. Yeah. Okay, what are we rating this rig? The only thing I would change here is I'd like to see a humbucker.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, we need a humbucker guitar. Otherwise, I mean, we're dialed in. This is really nice. I'm going to give it a 8.0.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm right there with you. Humbucker gets you a 335 shaped object. I think he mentioned getting a sire of some form. The
I've
H7.
never played one of those.
I've played some. They're pretty nice.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think once you have that, you're kind of like you're set for a long time. So yeah, I think an 8. I think I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a solid 8.
The other one I would change here is like to stay in the Marshall camp is the Studio 20. They're 20 watt heads. Those are really good. Those are really, really good. So maybe we would try swapping the Origin head out for one of those Studio 20 heads. But I'm not going to let that affect my score.
Or you get another one. You get like the 800 or something. And you pair it with it.
Yeah. Or just like don't be scared and get a plexi, get a half stack. Like, why are you crying?
JTM 45s aren't that loud.
They're really not that loud. They do be sounding good.
They do be sounding good. All right. Do you have a shill?
I do. I forgot to grab it, so let me grab it real quick.
Okay. I've been listening to a lot of Mega Man music, and then my little boy, I just like talked about how I shouldn't talk about him.
Right. Don't use his name. Don't use his name.
He bought a Switch 2 with his own money.
No,
and he's been playing the new Donkey Kong game. Music in that game is awesome.
That's awesome. Dude, that's
I'm
great.
just realizing I might have shelled this already, but we'll find out.
Well, they get a little double shell. Well, you go ahead then.
Okay. Poly and Mess, have I talked about this? I think I did. Now that I'm holding it up, I did. I talked about the sequencer and it's the 4 different effect slots. Damn it. Okay. You go first.
Okay. Well, I got something I haven't talked about. So because in honor of getting my Mark II C++, one of the things that they had in that amp, or they had in the studio when recording that amp for all the Metallica stuff, was an EQ that I think eventually Aphex made. And it was just like this 3-band EQ with the different filters and stuff on it. But there's a pedal company called Master Effects.
Ooh.
And he made a pedal version of it where you have basically low, mid, and high frequencies and can adjust the gains on it. And everything else is kind of preset as to what James and Fleming Rasmussen of Master of Puppets recording fame used. But basically, in the studio, Fleming said, that amp sounds bad. And didn't like the way it sounded. So he had a 500 unit like EQ like this and just ran it right into the loop of the amp. And so that way he had control over shaping it at the desk. And what Master Effects has done is copied that. And so when you put it in that amp, and I'm going to pull up something here. We'll see if this can load, and maybe I can share this screen here. You put it in there, and then you pull up the notes from the session, so you can copy. That has like all the knobs up there. Like right here is all the settings for all the knobs. You have your EQ settings. Has a 300 watt Marshall cabinet. Even has like mic stuff. And then here's the EQ. And this is for battery. It sounds just like it.
So, okay, I'm trying to figure out what EQ that's based on. Is that a 1073 or a API like 550A?
Let's see, Aphex EQ.
You said
Metallica.
Well,
the Aphex
okay,
EQ F2, I think, or it's an old B&B. EQ F2 parametric EQ. So you kind of have to look up this little thing, but it's just a really simple little.
Damn, that's cool.
And I've had a GE7 before, but I've never had any other sort of any parametric EQ or anything. But it adds gain. I guess it's making the power stage get
Does
loud.
it add gain if all the EQ is at noon, or is it only adding gain when you're boosting frequencies? Because that's how all EQs work.
I guess so, but it's funny because it adds distortion, even though it's probably near the power section. So it's because I don't know where the loop is in that amp.
But
but I assume it's post preamp, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all effects loops are, right?
I don't know.
Like you wouldn't have an effects loop preamp because that would be just before you just put it on the floor in front of the amp.
You'd assume, right? But it adds so much gain to the amp that it's just really neat. Master Effects, the PM EQ.
Hell yeah. I love that. And pro tip, if your amp has an effects loop, try putting an EQ pedal in the loop, like what Zach's talking about. Doesn't have to be that one. It can be any EQ pedal. You can do so much with that.
And
like
Alex in the chat said, I'm glad it's not another Tube Screamer. Well, here's one of those.
Cool. He's always got one at hand. He's never more than 6 feet away from a Tube Screamer.
You are absolutely
Anywhere he
right.
goes. His car, his house, his bathroom, wherever. He's got Tube Screamers all over the damn place.
They're hanging from the shower head.
Yeah. He's got a Tube Screamer shower head, actually. That's pretty cool. Okay. So mine was sitting on the desk in front of me, so I grabbed it. But now actually thinking about it, I think this is a good shill. And that is this little Kershaw pocket knife I bought
Love
on
Kershaw.
a trip a few months ago. I bought this from my friend's bike shop, North Creek Cyclery in Northfield, Minnesota. This is, as someone who's carried a knife of different variations for years and years, this has become my favorite little everyday carry pocket knife situation. I don't remember what this style of blade is called. It's sharp. That pointy end. This thing will cut you. But dude, like, having something like this on hand, I mean, you guys know, like, how many times a day are you opening boxes, or you need to like clip a zip tie, or you need to do whatever? It's like the perfect size. I love the color. You pick your teeth. Look at that. Get right in there. You can give yourself a root canal with this thing, I bet. No, man, I love it. It's got a little lock on it. I think I paid like $60 for it or something like that. And Kershaw makes good stuff. It's held an edge really, really well. And this is something, if you're gigging, you're traveling a lot. We've talked about having a little tech kit that travels with you on the road. As long as you're not flying, put this in your tech kit or just carry it on you. It's useful.
One of my favorite pocket knives ever is Kershaw.
Yeah, they make good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I was a Benchmade guy for a long time. I still have my Benchmade. I like their stuff too. But yeah.
David said it's a drop point.
Drop point. There we go. I knew that. I was just testing you, David. Good job. Good pass. So there you go.
Awesome.
There's my shill.
Well, sweet. Well, I guess we're going to head over to the Patreon exclusive stuff here in just a second. But thanks everybody to watching. Thanks Sweetwater for sponsoring this episode. Thanks to all our patrons for supporting the show and supporting us. We couldn't do what we do without all of your support. So it means a lot. And I guess like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do on a podcast, YouTube, rate us, review us, just be nice,
Just be nice.
and everything's going to be just fine. Because if you're not nice, we're going to use AI to find you.
Don't say that. You're going to get us in trouble. All right.
I'm kidding.
Patrons, we'll see y'all in just a minute. See y'all.